And we are live, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. Tonight on Flawed Man of God. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a biblical scholar, and I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity, and talk about a wide variety of topics, issues, and current events through the perspective of myself, who I consider to be your average Christian guy. Been a Christian all my life, 40 years, non denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word daily, trying to do it better each day, live a life closer to God. So, if you are somebody who is interested in learning more about Christianity, if you are curious about it, if you've got a voice in the back of your mind asking, is there more to life than just this existence here on earth? Welcome to the show. Hopefully, you can get something positive out of this. This is a very layperson approach, very amateurish, um, as you will see by the production value of this channel. However, hopefully, I can help set right any type of stereotype or misgivings you might have about Christianity or the church in regards to um, just some of the things that people often say that um, they think the Bible is a boring book full of laws and judgments, and that in Christianity churches are just full of people who go there to think that they're better than other folks, look down on them, and be hypocrites, treat it like some sort of social cult. And the reality is that's just not true. Now, do churches like that exist? Of course they do. Of course they do. And do people abuse scripture? Of course they do. Happens every day, all the time. And nobody is more irritated by that than folks who are true to the faith. So, as someone who is hopefully as true to the faith as I possibly can be, maybe I can show you how it's supposed to be done, or at least a better way to do it. So come on in and get whatever information you can from me. Hopefully, I can present you with an amateur primer to Christianity, and it helps springboard you into a relationship with God. If you are already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics, Christian conversation and discussion, welcome as well. Regardless of where you land, I encourage you to join the chat. Chat's a great group of folks, a good collection of regulars who are viewing day in and day out. And I'd like you to be part of that, part of our community. We want to hear from you. Am I doing things that am I saying things that you agree with? Am I saying things that you disagree with? Why do you disagree with them? What experience do you have in whatever we're talking about that might be productive to the conversation that we're having? The community is still quite small and enough so that if you do participate in the chat, I will read and respond to what you say. But if you decide not to, that's fine. I'm glad just to have your attention, and hopefully you're getting something positive out of it. So, with that said, how's everybody doing? Doing all right? Last night was skate night with the kiddos, roller skating, which they hadn't really done before. But it was overall a success. Much more of a success than it was for me. First time I went out, I broke my arm. And my mom made me walk around for a week with a broken arm because she didn't believe that it was broken. She thought that it was I was milking a non-injury, and it wasn't until the teacher told her that I was refusing to write with my left hand because that's my dominant hand, and that was my arm that got broke, and that my baseball coach was saying I would not throw with my left arm. I was taking the glove off of my right hand and throwing with my right arm in the outfield, which just didn't work. It just didn't work. So eventually she took me to the doctor. He did say that I had a hairline fracture on my growth plate, and they casted it up right there and then in front of my astonished mom, who I have not let live that down to this day. To this day. But my kids had a blast. It started off with a worry from my youngest that she was not going to want to do this. She fell down immediately a couple of times, but by the end of the night, they were both getting up and going out and trying to slowly make their way around the ring, one lap at a time. So, how's everybody doing? Nico's in the chat. Neo Rice is here. Matthew, Mr. Felty, Porcupine Mayhem, Dresden. How are all you guys doing? I got an announcement. I am going to most likely be going to the Dick Show event in Philadelphia in April. My buddy Nick's going to be there. It's going to be an opportunity to meet with him and with family. My brother might be coming with me since he lives in the area, and maybe some other friends on on an event that was discussed on his show last night. At the very beginning of his show, Nick and Dick Masterson were talking about the unfortunate, untimely death of my greatest friend and ally, Tyler Jones, and the absolute Pandora's box of gnashing of teeth and internet screeching that resulted in the wake of that. And the funny thing was, I was in Philadelphia when that all went down, and it was hilarious. There were bannings, there were removal of admins, it was chaos. It was the best of times. And though our group is somewhat smaller than it used to be, hopefully at least some of us are able to make that trip. Like I said, I am most likely going to be there. That is going to be, I think, April 22nd is the night of the show, day of the show. I don't know much on the much more details other than the actual date. That puts it on a Saturday, the 4th Saturday of April. So if any of you guys are interested in going, you can meet me there. You can meet me there and hang out and shoot the breeze. Shoot the breeze and have a good time. So, with that said, I'll make sure to remind everybody. But I mean, it would be cool to see any of y'all there. What else is up? Everybody doing all right this evening? Some weird stuff is going on. What's going on, Emmanuel? Got some weird stuff going on in the Christian conversation tonight, or in the last few days. We've got a so-called revival happening at some sort of Christian college that I've never heard of. Of course, I'm not in the know, and some of it seems cool. It seems to have sprouted out of nowhere, like it just happened. It seems to be a lot of young folks worshiping God, but it's mostly praise and worship music. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of speaking going on. And there's a lot of stories coming out about maybe some Pentecostal edge to it, or some modernization edge to it. But look, I want to see, I like seeing what's the word that I'm trying to think of? Spontaneous acts of worship, mass acts of worship. And so, what is a revival? It's the best way I can describe it is it is a very large worship party. And if my buddy and ombudsman Nernaev were here to give me the actual definition, I would feel more comfortable with it. But revival's generally a lot of folk kind of a festival centered around worship. I'm trying to think. Let's look up the official definition. Maybe I can find a better, more accurate. There's Nernaev. I said I was just calling you my ombudsman. A time of reawakened interest in religion. That's a good one. But very popular in the South, very popular among Baptists. Usually done in the summertime, in my experience. Not quite a retreat. It's a Christian college, Nico. But there are rumblings that there is some there is an LGBTQ presence there that is trying to grow affirmation out of it, and so there's talk about that. Renee, if I had to give one, a large movement characterized by refocusing on relationship with God, especially among those who were not interested before or had slacked off. Excellent. Wraps that up nicely. Puts into words what I could not speak. Emmanuel said, I'm going to be doing a bit of an errand run, but I'll be listening and trying to contribute as much as I can. Hey, do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. Just happy you're here. Just happy you're here. It's already been a long week. But, hey, Porcupine. Tonight's the last night of my fast. I added a day because I cheated on a day, but that was one that I already had made an exception for at the beginning of this fast. But the 40 days is up. And tomorrow night, there's a good chance that you're going to see me drinking a milkshake on stream and eating some of these. This has been waiting for me. These have been waiting for me since Christmas time. I didn't finish them because I had already finished another 10 of these. Already finished another 10 of these Danish butter cookies. But right before I started polishing these off, Porcupine so appropriately reminded me that we were going to be doing this fast. And then I had to leave it. But they've been sitting there as a reminder that there will be an end to this fast. And it's almost here. It's hours away at this point. And so the real question is, when I have my milkshake tomorrow night, will it be spiked with whiskey? Blaine, I know you like flying out to Japan, man. You can fly out to Philly for the Dick Show, for the Dick Show meetup in April. I will be there. I think I said this much in the in the chat last night that I was thinking of going. I just needed to make sure that, that it was okay. Plans to either take the kids and spend time with family up there, or leave them with grandparents, or what. But yeah, I'm not going to Vegas. That's too soon. That's too soon. Too soon. I haven't been to Vegas yet, actually. I'm in the Vegas. My in-laws have been. They're quite the fans of casinos. My father-in-law actually just got back from one about an hour ago. He goes occasionally. Sometimes he takes his bride. She's the lucky one, dude. When she goes, dude, they hit it. Oh yeah, you are Nick's friend and a dickhead. I'm liking you even more, brother. So, like I was saying, that was probably before you jumped on the stream, Emmanuel. If you were watching Nick's show last night, he was referring at the beginning of the show. They were referring to the death of the fake death of Tyler Jones. That is a near and dear friend of mine, who I have a great deal of love towards. He is a fantastic human being, and yeah, I was around for that whole bit of mischief, and it was hilarious. I discovered the Dick Show through Maddox. In fact, I've got here we go. So because of my age, I am a child of the early internet. And one of the early internet characters was Maddox. And Maddox used to be, forgetting what he is now, Maddox used to be funny. He used to be a very entertaining satirist in writing. And his website, The Best Page in the Universe, was something that you could view from time to time and get a lot of laughs out of. And he wrote this book back in 2006, 2005. Hang on. Yeah, 2006. Alphabet of Manliness. This is an original. I took this particular book was something I really I took with me to Iraq. It was a bit of reading for the bathroom, and we all got a lot of laughs out of it because it's funny. It was funny. He expurgated it later on because it had some problematic language, which as he began to go woke, his past statements, which were hilarious, were offending people that he was around. And so he disavowed, which was leaving behind the funny man, which had long since departed at that point. But I still appreciate the early work of him. And so when he started his podcast, The Biggest Problem in the Universe, I was about 6 months late in picking up on it. And my brother actually was the one who told me about it because he was a big Maddox fan. And we started listening to it. And it became very clear within just a couple of episodes in that this guy who was his co-host, Dick Masterson, who I'd never heard of before, was way funnier than he was. And just a better personality. I think Maddox ultimately was a guy really meant for prose. Should have stuck to the writing. And but whatever, he fell off. But it was one of the things that many of the folks who listened to the show would say is came for Maddox, stayed for the dick. and it was a very interesting time. I saw his, because at that point, then I saw the interview on Dr. Phil. It was hilarious. Saw the oh crap, was it the MTV stuff that he did? He's hilarious. He's hilarious. Now, some folks tend to can't try to lionize him and put him up on a bit larger pedestal. I try to tell people he's just a guy, right? He's a guy who makes a lot of jokes. I disagree with a lot of things he says. I don't, that from a moral standpoint, we disagree on many facets. From a religious aspect, we disagree on many things. But I appreciate some of his thoughts, and do laugh often when he's making jokes. Blaine said, "We only hit the casino if there's a long wait at the restaurant. Free drinks to pregame." Amen. For you, was in home internet use during high school or more college? So my dad used to work for AT&T, and not the phone side of it, the satellite side of it. He used to be a shift manager at the manufacturing plant where they would make like circuit boards for the satellites and all this other stuff that all this other tech that AT&T used. And he got a lot of fringe benefits about this as a result, because at the time Star Wars was really big. Not Star Wars the movies, but Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program was very big. There was a lot of there was a lot of investment in the space race, on the satellite end of it at that point. We're talking about the mid to late 80s. Well, mid 80s really. And so my dad got a lot of access and took me along as his son, who was very interested in anything military at the time, to a lot of these things. I got to see a live action demonstration of an A-10 onto a tank, shooting at a tank. I got to witness the brrr at a very early age, and I got to see a live demonstration of an Apache, which was funny enough. It was on a base that I would later be serving on in, and I got a hat from a unit I would later be serving with. It's very interesting at 3 and 4 years old, and then being put into an Apache cockpit. It was really, between that and a lot of the things my dad did for me at the time that you can't do anymore. The Air National Guard F-16s used to take off at the Richmond International Airport, which is very, very close to here. We used to sit at the end of the runway and watch the jets take off. And before the F-16s, they were F-4 Phantoms. It was very much a big part of my early childhood, and one of the best things my dad ever did for me. He's got awesome footage. He got to sit in a KC-135. He's got a great photo of it. He's sitting down watching a B-1 Lancer in-flight refuel. He's sitting back there in the back area with the I don't know what you call the air crew member who handles the fuel boom, but I mean, he got to do a lot of cool stuff as a fringe benefit for his work with AT&T. And so, which was a long story, we had a lot of technology around in the house, and we had an AT&T brand computer from as long as I can remember. I think 86. He brought it home. We had an AT&T computer. It was very cutting edge at the time. I had a lot of games and educational stuff my dad would get for that. And so when internet first came out, this was before AOL was really big. They were just starting to get out there. But there was another company out there called Prodigy. And Prodigy was was our ISP at the time, and we had Prodigy forever until Roadrunner came in with broadband. So, the problem was growing up in a rural area. The location for the ISP that we had to dial into was, at the time, some of y'all may not have heard of this, is called local long distance. So local long distance is when it's not the same rates as long distance, which you used to have to pay for when you had home lines. Before cell phones were a real big thing, you had your local numbers, and then you had your long distance numbers, and then there was like a in between area called local long distance, like not quite close enough that you had to put the area code in. You used to not have to dial area codes if it wasn't long distance. And but so every time we dialed in to the internet, we were paying local long distance on top of the internet, our monthly internet fee. And so Dad treated internet usage like a father treats the thermostat in his house. Yes, porcupine. Exactly. That's how he treated it. Like it was always an issue. It was hard on my mom too, because she always talking to friends, and a lot of times they were local long distance, and so he was always watching that phone bill. We don't have to worry about that anymore. So that's where I got it. Emmanuel, I was a child in the early internet. I heard Dick because of weirdos in the internet called the Procrastinators podcast. I was catching up around episode 50 and been a fan since. From the Asterios drama, the peach saliva mustard contest, and Sean's ass farming, been a huge fan. Oh yeah, me and Asterios got into it big time over something. I can't remember what it was, but I went ape on it, and I was clowning him up and down the Facebook page. And we had a buddy of mine he was talking about something about the military, which Asterios is an idiot. He doesn't know anything. He definitely doesn't know anything about the military. And so I had a buddy of mine Photoshop Asterios' head on Patton, and I started parading that around. And eventually Dustin Sin, who was the administrator of the original Dick Show Facebook page, deleted all of them. And then we all yelled at him, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know this was something everybody was getting into." Hey, that Facebook page was insane. Nico said Reagan had a Star Wars program. Hum Young, yeah, dude, that's a big part of the very end of the Cold War. Was Emmanuel? Yeah, wasn't the Star Wars race apart from the Cold War? It was part of it, and it was kind of, I think, part of it was designed to kind of bankrupt the Soviets. And I think, and if you, again, I don't know if I've recommended it before, but if you're ever looking into learning more about military and the overall defense and military apparatus of the United States in the 80s and the 90s, Tom Clancy is a great way to get a good narrative and story while also learning a bit about the military. He did a book, The Cardinal of the Kremlin, which did a really good job, I think, kind of detailing a bit of the space race, just the tones of it, not getting into many details behind it, but, anti-satellite warfare on other satellites. like satellites versus satellites. Some of this stuff was pretty great. But that's a great book to read. It's dry. That's the thing about Clancy. It's very technical and dry at times, but he weaves a very good story in all that. So if you like to absorb technical data at the same time as getting a thriller, a military thriller, he's the master of it. I know everybody's got their Tom Clancy's the master. He's the Tolkien of that genre. Don't even at me. Dad got to sit on a C-130 on a 3-hour cargo run. My sister was born while he was in the air. I did a few long flights on the old Herky Bird. It was from Arizona to New Jersey and back. They are very long flights, and it is a very loud airplane. And then I rode on one on my way out for mid-tour in Iraq. I rode in one out from Iraq to Kuwait, and then from Kuwait back into Iraq when my mid-tour was over. Porcupine, 28.8 modems running DOS before Windows 3.1. Yes. Dude, I remember when CD-ROM came out. When CD-ROM came out, I had Battle Chess and what was it? Mantis XF5700 or something like that. It was a space video game, space fighter game. Oh, it was great. It was very similar to Wing Commander. Porcupine, my parents paid hundreds of dollars for a phone bill for me talking to my quote-unquote long-distance girlfriend. I did chores for years to pay that off. Yeah. Oh, I got... Dad would never let me hear the end of it. And that, like I said, so you had to ask. Dad kept that on lockdown, like the password and everything. Can we get on the internet? I got to do something for school. Yeah, how long do you need? I don't know. I was like, you got 30 minutes. 30 minutes on a 28.8 modem or a 56K modem later on. You're getting hardly anything. Nunez, later Clancy is badly ghostwritten. It's bad. It's definitely bad compared to what he's capable of. The last great book, and it's the real bad last one in the older Jack Ryan series, Jack Ryan Sr. series, is The Bear and the Dragon, which doesn't get a lot of discussion, but I think it's great. I think it's cool because at that point the timelines kind of, Clancy was doing a good job keeping the timelines together within, somewhat current events, but then because of how the story was going, it kind of veered way off. But I thought it was really cool what he did with that. And if that's the last book you read from in the Ryan verse, then you're good. My sister had 30,000 texts in 1 month on a plan with 2K. How do you send 30,000 texts? That's insane. Insane. Ugh. Texting for me wasn't so. Texting for me, I never really caught onto that until after texting became near unlimited, because I never could get T9 word down. I was too much of a boomer for T9 word. I had the first the LG Envy was my second cell phone that I bought for myself. So first I got the phone as soon as I got back from Iraq. I went and got that, and it had the QWERTY keyboard on it. I used that. I miss my pager. Oh my goodness. ever try to send a page, look, I used to do this. My parents kept a rotary phone in my mom's sewing room, and you couldn't page my dad with the rotary phone because it took too much time to use the wheel. It took too much time, and so the pager would just ignore it. Would ignore the page. All right. Now so we need to get into things. So yeah, the good old days. The good old days. All right. So when we last left our readings, oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. Judah had another good king, Joash. Right? But Joash, after the good things he did, trying to keep those government contractors and those government bureaucrats in line, stuff's not getting done, but the man has got a mission. He is going to rebuild Solomon's temple to the Lord. And he does, and so he puts, look, like a good leader, he goes, this is my plan. You guys make it happen. And you're supposed to put the best men in charge. And the best men you have, the priests, right? Because up to that point, the priests were pretty good. We had Elijah and Elisha. However, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Jehoiada, the priest, doesn't get it done. And so, like a good leader, if you need something done, you got to make sure you do it yourself and lead by example. So he goes in there and starts helping out, and still work ends up getting done. However, as we find out at the end, his officials conspired against him and assassinated him at Beth Millo on the road down to Silla. The officials who murdered him were Jozabad, son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, son of Shomer. Amaziah, his son, succeeded him as king. So we're going to pick up at that point. And we're going to learn more about Israel in chapter 13. So, with that said, 2 Kings chapter 13, Jehoahaz, king of Israel. In the 23rd year of Joash, son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 17 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord by following the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit, and he did not turn away from them. By the way, just like his daddy. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel, and for a long time he kept them under the power of Hazael, king of Aram, and Ben-Hadad, his son. So Israel, puppet state, kind of. It's being oppressed, controlled by Aram and the Arameans. This is something we have seen before in the past in Judges, when people, as we've seen, as previously stated, and Nico will tell you, did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Sometimes the Lord removes his blessing, removes his protections, and allows people to face the consequences of their actions and their decisions. Then Jehoahaz sought the Lord's favor, and the Lord listened to him, for he saw how severely the king of Aram was oppressing Israel. The Lord provided a deliverer for Israel, and they escaped from the power of Aram. So the Israelites lived in their own homes as they had before, but they did not turn away from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, which he had caused Israel to commit, and they continued in them. Also, the Asherah pole remained standing in Samaria. Reminder, the Asherah pole Part of all those false gods and demon worshiping that they're doing with those pagan rituals. So even after they appeal to the Lord and he delivers them through some unnamed deliverer, they go right back to it. You ever do anything like that? You're in quite a pinch. God, if you just give me out of this, I'll do this, and then you do it, but then you go back to some of the old behavior. I have. Pepperidge Farm remembers. We can pull out the member berries too. We remember. Nothing had been left of the army of Jehoahaz except 50 horsemen, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers. Okay, the cavalry, little non-existent. 10,000, still a bit of the PFI. For the king of Aram had destroyed the rest and made them like dust at threshing time. 10,000 foot soldiers is still a lot of dudes. It ain't hardly near the number that they had beforehand. As for the other events of the reign of Jehoahaz, all he did and his achievements, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jehoahaz rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria, and Jehoash, his son, succeeded him as king. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, who did reign for 40-some years, 40, 42 years, something like that. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, became king of Israel and Samaria. We sort of seem to understand why Tolkien, a devout Catholic, names the people in his world of Middle Earth the way he does. Anybody picking up on some inspiration from the Old Testament here? The names are so similar. Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, became king of Israel and Samaria, and he reigned 16 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord and did not turn away from any of the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. He continued in him, because consistency is only a virtue if you're not a total screw up. Don't correct me on this one, Nernath. On the names, that is. Consistency, only a virtue if you're not a screw up. And what do we know about Israel? No good kings after Solomon. It's the fact that the Hebrew names had meaning too. I told you, don't disagree. Don't get in the way of my point here. Anyway. As for the other events of Jehoash, all he did in his achievements, which apparently wasn't notable enough to make it in the Book of Kings, including his war against Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jehoash rested with his ancestors, and Jeroboam succeeded him on the throne. This is Jeroboam, I think. Jeroboam the second, I think. Jehoash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Now Elisha, who we haven't heard of in a while. Now Elisha had been suffering from the illness from which he died, or I guess which he would die from. Jehoash, king of Israel, went down to see him and wept over him. My father, he cried, the chariots and horsemen of Israel. Elisha said, get a bow and some arrows. And he did so. Take the bow in your hands, he said to the king of Israel. When he had taken it, Elisha put his hands on the king's hands. Open the east window, he said. And he opened it. Shoot, Elisha said. And he shot. The Lord's arrow of victory, the arrow of victory over Aram, Elisha declared. You will completely destroy the Arameans at Aphek. Then he said, take the arrows. And the king took them. Elijah said, strike the ground. He struck it 3 times and stopped. The man of God was angry with him and said, you should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then you would have defeated Aram and completely destroyed it. But now you will defeat it only 3 times. Elisha died and was buried. Pretty abrupt, but I mean, think Yoda on his deathbed and Luke, kind of a dork. I love that meme. Yoda gets so tired of getting asked questions, he just dies. Elijah dies. Now, Moabite raiders used to enter the country every spring. Once, while some Israelites were burying a man, suddenly they saw a band of raiders. So they threw the man's body into Elisha's tomb. When the body touched Elisha's bones, the man came to life and stood up on his feet. Wild, right? Elisha's still having a little double portion of that Elijah power. Hazael, king of Aram, oppressed Israel throughout the reign of Jehoahaz. But the Lord was gracious to them and had compassion and showed concern for them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To this day, he has been unwilling to destroy them or banish them from his presence. To this day, to the day of this, when this book was written, to this day, actually, right now, this moment, God loves us. Blaine says, wait, why didn't you tell me to hit more times? It's like me talking to my son. I didn't tell you to strike it 3 times. I didn't tell you to stop. I told you to hit. Just keep striking it until you can't strike no more. Obedience. Just do what you're told. It's all they should tell people. I don't know why that isn't like the second most important thing besides worshiping God should be just the phrase, do what you're told. I feel like a lot of grief could have been saved. Plane rolls over dead. Hazael, king of Aram, died. Oh, Ben-Hadad, his son, succeeded him as king. Oh, then Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, recaptured from Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, the towns he had taken in battle from his father Jehoahaz. 3 times Jehoash defeated him, and so he recovered the Israelite towns, but only 3 times. Nernath Blaine's asking if hit, not singular or multiple. I think hit is just hit them. Continue to hit them. Blaine, don't you try to get Nernath into this hair splitting contest. It never works with God. See what happened with Israel. Amaziah, king of Judah. In the second year of Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, of king of Israel, Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Jehoadan. Look at this. Nernath, talk to me about this. We've got Jehoash, Jehoahaz, Joash, Jehoadan. She was from Jerusalem. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, but not as his father David had done. In everything he followed the example of his father Joash. The high places, however, were not removed. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. After the kingdom was firmly in his grasp, he executed the officials who had murdered his father, the king. Yet he did not put the children of the assassins to death, in accordance with what is written in the book of the law of Moses, where the Lord commanded, parents are not to be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their parents. Each will die for their own sin. Nico, too late, Stuart. Too much autism in this chat, dude. Too much autism on this channel. We're reading the Bible every night. Come on, guys. Welcome to the community. Got 9 people tuning in on just from which is usually lower number than the actual view numbers, according to StreamYards. Where are we at right now? 11. That sounds about right. He was the one who defeated 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt and captured Selah in battle, calling it Joktheel, the name it has to this day. Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, the king of Israel, with the challenge, "Come, let us face each other in battle." But Jehoash, king of Israel, replied to Amaziah, king of Judah, "A thistle in Lebanon sent a message to a cedar in Lebanon, 'Give your daughter to my son in marriage.' Then a wild beast in Lebanon came along and trampled the thistle underfoot. You have indeed defeated Edom, and now you are arrogant. Glory in your victory, but stay at home. Why ask for trouble and cause your own downfall and that of Judah also?" Oh, big words from this man with 50 chariots and 10,000 foot. Amaziah, however, would not listen. So Jehoash, king of Israel, attacked. He didn't listen. So Israel attacked. I would like. I don't know what heaven's like, but I want to see this stuff real time. Like all the context behind what's going on. Some that's kind of left out in here. I would love to see this all come together. He and Amaziah, king of Judah, faced each other at Beth Shemesh in Judah. Judah was routed by Israel, and every man fled to his home. Oh no, Mooney. Jehoash, king of Israel, captured Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, at Beth Shemesh. Then Jehoash went to Jerusalem and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate, a section about 400 cubits long. Reference 600 feet to 2 football fields. He took all the gold and silver and all the articles found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasuries of the royal palace. What a flippin' idiot. Stealing from the Lord's temple? And you're king in Israel? I don't know, buddy. He took all the gold and silver and all the articles found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasuries of the royal palace. He also took hostages and returned to Samaria. As for the other events of the reign of Jehoash, what he did and his achievements, including his war against Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jehoash rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and Jeroboam, his son, succeeded him as king. Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, lived for 15 years after the death of Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel. I don't know what he did. As for the other events of Amaziah's reign, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? They conspired against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent men after him to Lachish and killed him there. He was brought back by horse and was buried in Jerusalem with his ancestors in the city of David. Shouldn't have lost that fight. Then all the people of Judah took Azariah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in place of his father Amaziah. He was the one who rebuilt Elath and restored it to Judah after Amaziah rested with his ancestors. I guess we'll learn more about him later. Not tonight, because we're going to end with Jeroboam II, king of Israel. In the 15th year of Amaziah, son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, son of Jehoash, king of Israel, became king in Samaria, and he reigned 41 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord and did not turn away from any of the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. He was the one who restored the boundaries of Israel from Labo Hamath to the Dead Sea in accordance with the word of the Lord, the God of Israel, spoken through his servant Jonah, son of Amittai, the prophet from Gath Hepher. The Lord had seen how bitterly everyone in Israel, whether slave or free, was suffering. There was no one to help them. And since the Lord had said he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. And since the Lord had not said he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam, son of Jehoash. As for the other events of Jeroboam's reign, all he did and his military achievements, including how he recovered for Israel both Damascus and Hamath, which belonged to Judah, they're not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel. Jeroboam rested with his ancestors, the kings of Israel, and Zechariah, his son, succeeded him as king. Emmanuel said, I'm not going to lie. I don't know Old Testament. I didn't know the Old Testament held so many generations of people entrapped. Yeah. Oh, dude, if it's one thing the Israelites, the Hebrews were prolific at, is generations, is tracking ancestry. In fact, when you get to how does the New Testament start? Matthew starts out with a genealogy, a very long genealogy, which we will get into once we get to the New Testament, but we are still many, 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 many books away. It's not that important, Nico. What we really should be mostly keeping track of is the actions of these folks and what is basically transpiring. Nath answering Blaine doesn't look like a plural. It's an infinitive. He's telling him to make it be hit, which is what I was saying, Blaine. I'm not a Hebrew grammar though in context. Yeah. Apparently neither was the king. Greek is much clearer. Strong's 5,221 of people want to use it to study. Also, it says he 5221 the ground. Same word used as prophet. What? What? Nernaeth, make this make sense for me. Nico, they show the homework here for later to prove Jesus was descended from David and the kings. I'm just saying, I'm just asking. If you say hit it, you only put one song on, but you smash a nail till it's done. Yeah. 10 out of 10 would smash if Elijah told me to. The word he used to command him was also the same word they used to report what he did. Could argue he did what was said. And yet, he missed out. Might be a bit tenuous an argument. I'm just going to say he probably should have hit. Continue to hit it. Just do it till he says to stop. And here you go. All right, folks. All right. So 2 guests I'm working on right now. Get Operation St. Cyprian on to talk about UFOs. Who here is interested in doing a UFO stream from a faith perspective? How many of you guys? While I'm asking, and while you guys are typing to tell me if you were interested in or not in this, because I am, which means we're probably going to do it, regardless of whether you want to do it. I just want to gauge interests. I'm tired. While y'all are typing whether you're interested or not, I am also going to be bringing Thaddeus, Shay Thaddeus, a friend of the show, buddy of mine, internet buddy of mine, and great representative, ambassador of the Eastern Orthodox faith, on to discuss iconography, his defense of it. And I bring these folks on. You don't have to agree with what they have to say, but I like bringing on the different perspectives. And also, I reached out to Hans Feeney, Blaine, specifically with you in mind, and myself. Reached out to Hans Feeney about coming back on the show to do an episode on the solas. And he says he's probably pretty busy for the foreseeable future. But he has a cousin who will call him Discount Hans Feeney, who he will put me in touch with about doing that stream. And he's also got a link. He's also got a path of communication to a gentleman I wanted to bring on to talk about Lutheranism or the Lutheran faith. A gentleman by the name of Remy Shepard, who we talked on Twitter, but it looks like he dropped off Twitter because he's smart. I like Remy. He's a godly man, which means he's a better man than me. But with that said, yeah. All right. So, Emmanuel, I know you're excited. Bring the X-Files in. I would love to hear about it. Good. I'll start talking to him about getting that scheduled. Nico, oh, hell yeah. I thought Christians would be against UFOs in the Bible. I'm not saying there's UFOs in the Bible. What I'm saying is that there's UFOs in the news today. And surprisingly enough, you'll find a fair amount of UFO believers in the faith. However, what those UFOs represent might be not what you would think, at least from their perspective. So I will bring on St. Cyprian on in the near future. We'll get something scheduled when our schedules can meet up, and bring him on, and we'll bring on Thaddeus Patrick to talk about iconography. And then we will do a stream on the solas. That's all stuff that's coming. And again, as long as it's not the covenant, it would be interesting. And always, like I said, Philadelphia. I'm gonna be in the Philadelphia Dick Show get together. I will be there in April. April 22nd is the date I've been told. And so I will likely be up at that. And if any of you guys want to meet up, I'll be there for you. I'll be looking for you. And with that said, guys, Thursday, so tomorrow night, breaking the fast. And it's open topic Friday. We haven't done one in a few weeks. So come with things you want to talk about, discussions you want to have, politics, video games, TV shows, sports, whatever. Baseball's right around the corner. If you guys are still new, if you guys are new to the stream, I'm a huge baseball fan. And my team sucks, so you'll get to experience me whining a lot about it. But as it were, the night is over, and tomorrow night is still to come. So, in the meantime, guys, Emmanuel, Nico, Nernaeth, Porcupine, no anime. Porcupine said, no anime. Blaine. Dresden. Mr. Felty. Neo, who was just there existing. It's just sitting there existing. All of you guys. Everybody in the chat who made this show better with your words, with your thoughts, with your opinions. Thank you. Thank you. For everybody who was just listening, thank you for your ears and attention. Hopefully I gave you something worthwhile. And for everybody catching it on replay, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the stream. Again, this isn't a grift for money. You won't see grift for money on here, but you will see grift for viewers. Put the word out. Put the word out about the stream. In the meantime, folks, everybody have a good night. Enjoy your Friday. Talk to you tomorrow night. God bless.